Good day, Deep and Word family. Welcome to day 90 of our Bible study review. Y'all, we're shutting down one more book, okay? 1 Samuel is going to be done today. Today's chapter study review is 28 through 31. Now, I know on a day-to-day basis, we usually have about 3 chapters to go through, but we're just going to go ahead and add one more just to finish this book out. And I'm going to do my best to make the video relatively short, okay? Anyways, let's get into it, y'all. So we open up chapter 28 and it says that the Philistines are now gathering to go to war against the children of Israel. Now remember, David is dwelling among the Philistines right now. And so King Achish is like, well, I'm totally expecting for you to go up and go to war with me against the children of Israel. And David is like, well, you know what I'm capable of. And he expects David to be his bodyguard. It stops there and then it switches over to Saul. Saul knows that the Philistines are coming to gather against them for war. He's terrified, and so he's calling out to Yahuwah, but Yahuwah will not answer him. Not by prophets, not by lots, not by dreams. He will not answer him. So the servants of Saul tell him, you know that there's a woman in Endor, and she knows how to, conjure up the spirits. And so King Saul had already banished these people from the land. But now he's so desperate for an answer, he disguises himself and he goes to this medium. Y'all, that's what a medium is. It's a vessel that brings a message from the spiritual into the natural realm. People still do this. They offer up their bodies to be a vessel for darkness, to bring darkness into this realm. But anyways, I digress. Let's get back to the text. So Saul comes to her by night and he asked her to conjure up a spirit. And she's like, what are you doing? You know King Saul has banished all of us from the land. You're trying to lay a trap for my life. And he promises her that no harm will come to her. So then she asks, who shall I bring up for you? And he says, the spirit of Samuel. It says that the woman saw Samuel, right? And that she screamed out and she asked King Saul, why have you deceived me? I know that you are King Saul. And King Saul said to her, don't be afraid. He goes, tell me what you saw. And she said, I saw an old man with a robe ascending out of the earth. Now, let me just preface by saying that I do not believe that this was Samuel. I believe that this was a familiar spirit that followed Samuel. There are familiar spirits who know your every habit, who know because your words, you're releasing words. And so, yes, this is what people do when they're calling up psychics, right? A familiar spirit will tell you everything about your bloodline, your family, because the spirit realm is watching us, y'all. So I don't believe for a moment that it is Samuel. I believe that it is a demon. Now, there are some who truly believe that it is Samuel, but what King Saul was doing was completely against the command of the Father. And it does say beforehand, it prefaces by saying that he was calling out to Yahuwah, and it says he would not answer him by prophet, by lot, or by dreams. And Samuel is a prophet. So just keep that in mind moving forward when you're reading this. With all that being said, I'm going to read verses 15 through 19. It says, and Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he kneeled with his face to the ground and bowed himself. Samuel said to Saul, why have you roused me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am greatly distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and Elohim has departed from me, and does not answer me any longer by prophets or by dreams. Therefore I have called to you, that you might make known to me what I should do. Verse 16. Then said Samuel, why then do you ask me, since Yahuwah has departed from you and has become your enemy? Yahuwah has done for himself as he spoke by me. Yahuwah has torn the kingdom from your hand and has given it to your neighbor David, as you did not obey the voice of Yahuwah and did not carry out his fierce wrath against Amalek. Therefore Yahuwah has done this thing to you today. And moreover, Yahuwah will deliver Israel with you into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. This spirit of Samuel also says that he will deliver Israel up into the hands of the Philistines. I've been conflicted about this passage for a very long time. And so I don't argue with folks about whether it is actual Samuel or it is a demon. I believe it's a demon. I could be wrong, but I just want to preface by stating what is there in the text beforehand. After King Saul heard these words, it said that he fell to the ground and he was completely weak. His reason for living was just gone. And it says that he refused to eat, but his servants and the medium reasoned with him. So the medium, she slaughtered her fatted calf and she prepared unleavened bread. And King Saul and all of his servants with him, they ate. In chapter 29, we see that David is rejected by the Philistines. They're about to go to war against the children of Israel. And so David is at the back end of King Achish. And all of the other Philistine lords, they see David and all of his servants. They ask King Achish, they're like, what are these Hebrews doing here? How are they in your camp to go against their own people? And so King Achish, he was fighting for David. He's like, he's been with me all these years. I see no fault in him. But the Philistine lords rejected David. They said, send him back, lest he turn on us mid-war. They heard the stories about him defeating Goliath, their champion. So David is sent back to the land of the Philistines. Chapter 30 opens up and we see that as David is heading back to his, land that King Achish gave him for him and his wives, it says that they came to a place in Ziklag. And on the third day, they saw the place where their wives and their children were left behind while they go to war, that town had been completely raided. So all of the people, they were gathered together, they were stressed out, and they were ready to stone David. They were blaming David for this. But it says that David encouraged himself in Yahuwah. And so he sought his face. He went to Abiathar, right? The only surviving priest from the land of Nob. And he told him, get the ephod, I need to hear from Yahuwah. And so he called on the name of Yahuwah. And he says, shall I go up against the Amalekites? And Yahuwah answers him. He says, yes, go up. I will give them directly into your hand. 400 of David's men went along with him, and 200 of them stayed behind. And as they're going to go find the Amalekites, right, to go find their families, they saw this Egyptian and he was left behind. He was actually a soldier that was following with this raid, but he fell sick. So David and his men fed him. And after he was fed, he was, brought back to life. It says that his spirit was nourished. And David said, will you tell me where this raiding camp is? And he said, yes, if you promise not to destroy my life, I will show you where they are. So the Egyptian man, he keeps to his word. He takes David and his 400 servants and shows them exactly where the Amalekite raid is. And they're drinking, they're dancing, they're partying. And it says that David and his men struck them down that night. They received all of the spoils. Their wives and children were rescued. And David split the spoils evenly among all of the men, even the ones who stood behind. Some of the spoils from the Amalekites was actually from defeating the Philistines. So David and his camp were extremely enriched by this. And just to sweeten the deal, right? Because the people of Israel think that David might have turned his back on them. David sends some of the spoils ahead to the elders of Judah as a gift. He knows what he's doing. Chapter 31 flips back to Saul and all of the Philistines, and they're at Mount Gilboa, and it says that the Philistines destroy Saul and all of his sons, including Jonathan. It says that the archers got a hold of King Saul, and he was injured very bad. He asked his armor bearer to stab him through, but his armor bearer would not. So Saul fell on his own sword, and then his armor bearer did the same. It says that the Philistines cut off King Saul's head. They took the bodies of his sons and pinned them against a wall, the wall of Bethshan. Let's read verses 11 through 13 to close out today's chapters. When the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all of the valiant men arose and went all night, and they took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Bethshan, and they came to Jabesh and burned them there. They took their bones and they buried them under the tamarisk tree at Jabesh, and they mourned and fasted for 7 days. Now I know at the end of this, you might still be questioning this whole thing with the spirit of Samuel and the words that have been spoken, that they actually came true exactly how these things were told. My advice is to take these things up in prayer with the Father. But nonetheless, congratulations, Deep in Word family. You have closed out another book. That is all that I have for you today. Until tomorrow, Yah bless.